Hello, my friends. Good afternoon. It's Monday. I have to say, I was looking forward to being back together with you today. I hope this will be a week in which every day the technology will work, the sound will work. I'm hoping that today it's working. Welcome to my virtual office. I'm your virtual pastor. I'm Pastor Lou Kilgore. I am serving here, installed here as the pastor of the High Mountain Presbyterian Church, serving here as I believe I'm called to serve by God and by the community, and happy to welcome you here. I've always worked to have an opportunity for open office. They used to say open door policy. Well, it's an open world policy today. This is your chair. I think of yourself as sitting next to me, only we have to use kind of telepathy to be able to figure out what we need to talk about, because right now it's only one way. I've been doing these chats since the beginning of the shutdown back in March. I saw what was coming was a complete disconnection between myself and the variety of people that I interact with, and I thought at least I would open this portal, this one way, to have some regular connection. How are you doing? How are you doing? That's usually the biggest topic. How are you doing and how am I doing, given what we know in this present little moment? If you're visiting for the first time, and I see from time to time there are brand new people, the technology doesn't tell me who you are. It just tells me that you're here and that you've come before or you haven't. And so I'm always trying to be reminded that as a good host, I want to welcome you in, take a seat, say who I am, and say a little bit of the purpose about why we're here. This weekend, partly because I was preaching a sermon based on one of the parables that Jesus told, I started to think a lot about dividing us. What is dividing us? I don't know anyone who doesn't think that the current climate in which we are in is polarized, which means I'm on this side and you're on that side. And 2 o'clock yawn, I apologize. So along with that comment that I just made about the fact that we are polarized and maybe getting further and further apart, I've also learned that those who would be happy to tell you among their friends that they are enemies of our society, enemies of our culture, would like to see the system of government and the country that we are part of, they would like to see it fail. That their hope is to divide us further. That Abraham Lincoln said, "United we stand, divided we fall." So those who would like to see us fall will be working to divide us. It's tricky. It's very tricky. And so, having said that, let me move to, I often reflect on conversations I have with my 90-some-year-old dad. I call him every day, and I've really enjoyed, I didn't do that really before this shutdown of the world's way of life, but I'm so happy that I did. I live about 3 hours from him, and I call him every day. In the beginning, we used to run out of what to talk about. Now, we know our conversations aren't going to be long, but they're free. I tell him some things he might not have known about what happened to me since yesterday, and he does the same for me. A few weeks ago, he said to me, Lou, you need to stop saying, "I don't know" so much. And I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, every time I ask you a question, he's sort of self-contained in his house. At his age, he doesn't have a lot of mobility. And he'll ask me a question of what I think is going to happen or what did happen, and I'll often say, oh, sorry. I don't know. I don't know. And sometimes while we're on the phone, I repeat it 3 or 4 times. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. And it was in one of those conversations where he said to me, you have to stop saying that so much. And my response was, well, several people have had some different names for this COVID-19 virus. I'd like to suggest a different name. I'd like to call it the I don't know virus. Because ever since it's made its way into my life, and into my church, and into my world, and into my family, and into my own life, I have had to say, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I do not know. I don't know has grown huge. Now, it always was very big anyway, but I'd like to believe I can maintain a kind of myth to myself that I know more than I do. And I'm comfortable with that. I don't know has become a truthful statement in really important ways. Now, let me go back to the divide. It seems to me that part of what happens to us is that in an environment where we really don't know, we don't know a lot. We don't know a lot. That what divides us is when we take a stand of certainty and confidence more than we normally would have. We're pushed to making declarations of obstinate certainty in a time where actually we know with less certainty than ever. I don't know about this, and I don't know about that, and I don't know about that. But one thing I do know, and there it comes. There comes the line in the sand. Draw that line. I know this one thing. Do not expect me to compromise or to move because there's 10,000 things I don't know, but this one thing I know. It's a perfect posture for dividing. For dividing friends and family, for dividing nations. I'm just offering it as a little insight. And it grows out of the sermon that I preached on Sunday. Sometimes I like my sermons and sometimes I love them. The sermon from this past Sunday I just loved. I just loved it. Because in the process of trying to crack open the parable that Jesus told about the fact that the world is filled with good intermingled with evil, and that the evil often comes on purpose from some sinister force that comes at night and tries to infect us. And Jesus is telling his disciples, look around you. The good and the evil are all intertwined. And not just part of the same country or whatever, but in yourself, they're intertwined. They're intertwined. And when you're really honest, you just can't go around dividing the world and say there's 2 kinds of people, the good and the bad. But in times of division, you can become convinced that that's true. And therefore, you cover over all of the brokenness that's a part of who you are. And you make all of the evil and the bad over there. That's why Jesus says in the parable, Jesus says, the landowner says to his farmers, do not try to separate the good from the evil. You're not skilled enough to do it. You don't know how to do it. You don't know. You will destroy everything. And I don't think Jesus was encouraging a kind of whatever attitude. That's not the point. The point is, they're good things that can come through you and into life. But they're never going to come because somehow you made yourself into a perfect person. They were doing some life eulogizing of John Lewis today. Everybody who was talking about him was saying all the characteristics about him that were amazing and the things that made him a really good man. But everybody who really knew him and knew how he would want to be remembered said he was not perfect. Far from it. He could be very stubborn. And then they would go on and list all those things. We are often a very confusing combination of the evil and the good. And we cannot be passive about it. We need to be producing good fruit today. We need to be out there doing the signs of love and care and compassion. We need to be wearing masks to protect others. It's a wonder to me the number of people who say, I don't wear a mask because I'm not at risk. They just somehow have not seen or heard that every scientist is telling them, but you are a carrier unless you block your emissions. You will make somebody else sick. We need to be doing good things now more than ever. We need to be turning loose the good. Never being deceived about the importance of being able to say, I don't know. I don't know about the things that we don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. Do you remember back in my day when I went to college, they said that freshmen were college students who didn't know and didn't know that they didn't know. I don't know if I could do all four of them, but the sophomore, I think, was someone who knew a little, but didn't know that he knew, or she knew. I don't know what the third one is. Anyway, a senior ready to graduate was the person who didn't know and knew that they didn't know. That was considered to be the end goal of real education, because it's the gateway into humility, it's the gateway into teamwork, it's the gateway into love, it's the gateway into everything that can be good and productive. Humility and willingness to listen to others. To listen, especially to those that are trained, skilled, that have devoted their life. For me, there's a similar process in the years I've spent trying to read and interpret the Bible and then preach the Bible, is that there are a lot of people who carry around a lot of assumptions about what the Bible says, and about what some things that the Bible says mean. They carry those assumptions. They know. And yet my whole training in seminary, through scholars and scientific process of researching actual meanings of words and contexts of history, Sometimes you get introduced into realizing what you don't know, and it can become discouraging because you realize there's so much you don't know. But mostly, seminary and graduate school education for me in religion and philosophy was forcing me to give up the things that I thought I was absolutely confident of. This I know. And inevitably, I don't know, I take it as a process that God invites me into. I had to give those up. And my understanding and my walk of faith had to always be based more on faith, trusting a future when I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't know. So, here it comes. My prayer for you today. My prayer is that you will embrace a huge level of I don't know. It'll make your relationships with your friends better. It'll make your relationship with yourself more honest. And it'll make your relationship with God more pure. I don't know, Lord. I don't know. It's like that phrase, Lord, I believe. Now help my unbelief. Help my unbelief. Help me in my time of I don't know. It's not really a prayer to move from uncertainty to confidence. It's a prayer for God's presence of assurance in a time where you're uncertain. Help me in my I don't know. Help me to remain calm. Don't allow me to go into a corner and to become vicious in my defense of something that I'm really not even sure of. Lord, I know. Help my I don't know. That's my prayer for us, my friends. It may not change the future, but it'll certainly make the pathway to the future much more pleasant. God bless you. God keep you, guard you, and protect you, especially in your health and in your relationships. Love liberally. Seek understanding. And confess when you don't know. Happy Monday to you, and I will talk to you tomorrow.